Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Carolyn. I am a mama to twin baby girls named Summer and Winter, and as a family, we have traveled a lot since they were born. They are not that old yet, but we've traveled quite a bit with them, and I'm so proud of them. They've been such little troopers along the way as we've done a month-long road trip when they were 4 months old, all the way till they were 5 months old. And then additionally, we did a huge overseas international trip from the US to Germany when they were 9 months old. At least we flew there when they were 9 months old, and then we flew back when they were 10 months old. And then we did the whole thing again when they were 14 months old, going again all the way to Germany because we have some family out there. So bottom line, they have done a lot of travel and we've learned a lot along the way. So I'm going to answer a lot of the questions that have been asked just commonly throughout the videos that I've been sharing along the way, because I want to help you guys learn as much as you can from our experience and gain as much value as possible. So I hope that this is helpful for you guys if you're looking to travel with little ones. And without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and get into it and answer a lot of these questions. Question number 1, how do you calm a baby on an airplane? Well, it's a lot like calming a baby when you're at home, except you're in a smaller space. So with that said, there are a few go-to things that usually we do when it comes to trying to calm down our babies. And this was helpful when they were 9 months and also again when they were older at 14 months when we did our international plane trips. And for me, that's a couple things. So obviously the first go-to things to check are, of course, if they're hungry, if they're thirsty. You do get dehydrated quicker when you're at high elevation. And then additionally, they could be tired. They could also be unsure of where they are. And then if you've already checked all the things and they're just being really fussy, then my usual go-to is picking them up, holding. You can walk them up and down the aisles. Now, if you're not able to walk them up and down the aisles because you're not supposed to move from your seat at a certain time, then the other thing is you can just hold their hand. That worked really well for them when they were in the bassinets and they were trying to go to sleep. And you know, it's an unusual area for them. They're not used to the location. And so we would just hold their hand, give them familiar toys, give them familiar bottles and snacks and things that they're used to that remind them of home. Additionally, another key thing to do to make sure that your baby's not being super fussy during takeoff and landing is to help them pop their ears when you're going up and going down. Just that change in elevation can make a big difference for how they're feeling, and you want to make sure that they're as comfortable as possible. So making sure that they are drinking a liquid out of a bottle, or they are sucking on a pacifier or breastfeeding, something of that sort, where when they're sucking on something can really help them pop their ears because they just don't know how to do it like how we do by yawning or something like that. Now, if they naturally yawn, that's great, but that's okay. So I hope that that's helpful. I hope that any of those ways can help with a fussy baby on an airplane. Like I said, all of those have helped us. And then additionally, just don't worry too much if your baby is being a little bit fussy on the airplane. Everybody understands that babies are going to cry on an airplane, and you can do your best to make sure that they're comfortable and happy. And if none of those things work, it's okay. It's bound to happen that they're going to cry at some point. And if they do, then don't worry, because it's all about the safety of you and your child, and other people understand. My secret weapon to helping my babies not cry is going into the bathroom and looking in the mirror. They love looking at the mirror and seeing themselves. It's the funniest thing. At any age, honestly, my babies have loved doing that. So you can always try that if all else fails. Question number 2 is, how do you get babies through the airport and through security? Well, I have a lot of different suggestions on this. The one thing that we did that we actually loved doing is we let them sit on top of our bags, rolling them through the airport. And we do have specific bags that we bought for this purpose that are meant to have babies on top of them. They actually have legs in the back so that you cannot let it fall over. It absolutely stands on its own, which is really nice for safety. And then of course they have a harness that covers them from the top as well as around the sides and up through their legs, so it keeps them in one place and safe throughout the ride. And they just loved this. And honestly, it's great for family photos too. We had a really good time rolling them through the airport. The only downside of these is that you do of course have to take them off entirely when you go through security and check the bags through the conveyor belt because they are carry-ons. So that's the only thing to know about those bags. Of course, I will leave the link to this below if you're curious in checking them out. They just recently released a brand new model of these, so I will leave that link below for you to check out. Additionally, you can always bring your stroller stroller all the way to the gate. Now, you will need to double check the TSA guidelines to make sure that your stroller complies. I've never heard of a stroller not being allowed through. I personally don't know of any that aren't allowed through. I believe that you can have them all, but definitely double check this on the TSA website. I will leave the TSA website link below in the description as well. But you can take your stroller with your baby all the way to the gate, and then the only thing is you do need to have a bag to check your stroller. Now, they do sometimes actually provide a stroller bag for you to put it in, but I always recommend bringing something that you know is going to keep it safe and not get too many scratches or anything like that, because I think what they provide is usually just a plastic bag, versus if you want to get something on Amazon, they do have bags that are actually made for this, and we have a couple that are made for both strollers or car seats, and I will link those below as well. Question number 3 was, what type of foods and liquids are you allowed to bring on the airplane for babies? Now, this is a great question. Honestly, I did a lot of reading and research on this before we flew with our babies for the first time, because I wanted to make sure that we could bring everything we needed. At the time that we flew, I was not breastfeeding anymore, but you are obviously allowed to breastfeed on the airplane, and additionally, you can actually bring your own pumped milk. Just have to make sure that you show TSA that it is actually breast milk and they let you go through with that. Additionally, you can bring formula, and we brought formula that was in a powder form, and then we brought empty bottles, and then once we got through the gate of security, we filled up all the water that we needed, and we got lots of water bottles when we got on the airplane. Keep in mind that the airplane staff is usually very happy to help with any way that they can. If they can bring you more water, they will give you as many water bottles as you possibly want for free. At least that was our personal experience when we flew on all of our different flights that we went on. Additionally, they will also be happy to help you with warming up milk if needed. Now, keep in mind that they won't do it with like a microwave, because they don't actually have a microwave on board because of how the airwaves work. We've learned that. But what they would usually do is just put it in a warm bath of water. So if you're comfortable with that, then you can do that. You can also bring your own personal devices to heat up water, and I can leave links for something of that sort below as well. Additionally, you can bring all kinds of snacks with you. So our babies love to have purees and food pouches. At least that's what they were eating at the time that we were flying, and that was totally fine. The main thing is that you show them when you go through security that you are bringing baby foods, and they can see that that's what it is, then there's no problem. And we didn't have any issues with that. The only other thing that you need to know that you will need to remove from your bag when you go through security is baby wipes. So my recommendation is to put all of the things that you could possibly need to take out of your bag going through security in one bag, and put them in one specific area that's easy to access. And that way you don't have to go through all of your things every time that you go through security. It's just one thing that was so nice when we were going through security, to just know exactly what needs to come out, take it all out, put it on the tray, go through, and then put it all back in where it came from. And like I said, there are some times that honestly people have told us, oh, you don't need to take out the wipes. And then we went through and then they were like, oh, you should have taken out the wipes. And I'm like, seriously, that person said I didn't need to. So bottom line, you do need to take out wipes of any kind. Take it out. Just save yourself the time of having them go through your stuff afterwards, because that's what we went through. Take out the wipes and take out all the baby foods and liquids and just show it to them, and you'll have no problem. At least, like I said, that's what we learned. Question number 4, somebody asked, does your baby wear her helmet on the airplane? So if you guys have seen my videos, you've noticed that one of my twins wears a dock band helmet, and it's just to help her with a flat spot on one side of her head. So it's just helping her actually round out her head shape, not necessarily putting any pressure on it, but just helping her head to be guided to grow in the right direction as it grows. And she's almost done wearing it, which is so exciting. But with that said, we have flown with her while she was wearing it, and it was not a problem at all. She kept it on for the majority of the flight. The only time that we took it off was when we felt like, oh, she might be getting a little bit warm and we don't want it to be uncomfortable. So we took it off, and then we can always put it back on. But there was no problem with her flying and wearing it at the same time. This is totally up to personal preference. If you have a baby that is wearing a helmet, you can choose to take it off if you feel comfortable, but our baby is supposed to wear it for 23 hours every single day. So for the purpose of it being completely helpful, we didn't want to take it off as much as possible. But like I said, if it's uncomfortable, then obviously we would remove it. So it's really personal preference. And yeah, to answer your question, she did wear it on our huge trip all the way to Germany, and she did really well. Question number 5. This one's been asked a lot, and it's how do you reserve the baby bassinets on the airplane? And honestly, if you've seen any of my videos of us flying, you probably have seen the baby bassinets. These worked so well for us, and I'm so glad that we booked them. They were really useful when the girls were 9 and 10 months old. And then additionally, we tried using them when they were 14 months old, but they didn't quite fit the same. So we ended up having them sleep on the seats and kind of made a little makeshift bed for them because we had the extra space. So that worked out really well. But the bottom line is the bassinets can be booked ahead of time, and you just need to do a couple of things. It's really simple. Call the airline before you buy your tickets to double check to make sure that they actually have the bassinet seats available, because you have to reserve a certain location on the airplane in order to use the bassinets. And if those seats are already booked, then you might want to change to a different flight, and that way you'll be able to find a flight that has them available, because you don't want to book a flight that doesn't have them available and then have to pay for a change fee. Additionally, then after you double check that it is available, you can either book with the person on the phone, or you can go back, book online, and then call the airline once again. Once you have booked it, give them your actual confirmation code, have them look it up, and then manually buy those specific seats on the phone. Those are the only ways that I have found that I can do it with the airlines that we flew with. The airlines that we booked the bassinets with were Lufthansa, United, as well as Air Canada, and all of those were for long haul flights. Now, we did use these on the long haul flights, but they were not available on the short flights. So keep that also in mind, that these are usually only available when you're flying on a really large airplane, versus if you're on a smaller airplane, it's probably not going to be available, in which case then we just held our babies the whole time. And usually on the short flights, they had just napped on us if they were really tired, and we just held them, and it was so sweet. Honestly, I love those moments when they just want to sleep on you. So special. We didn't pay that much either. In order to reserve those seats, it was actually only $40 per adult, so that was really nice. Question number 6 was, how do you breastfeed or pump while you're traveling? So this is a good question, because I did breastfeed all the way through 5 months. Well, I should say breastfeed and pumped through 5 months, because of course with twins, it was a lot. And I'm really, really glad that I did make it as long as I did. So I actually did breastfeed and pump while we were doing our road trip all the way around the US. Like I said, we were in 7 different states, and we went to several different national parks, and it was so awesome. Honestly, like I even was breastfeeding at different camping sites. I was pumping while we were driving in our van. I mean, it's kind of the funniest setup, to be honest. But as far as that goes, it's really up to personal preference, because you can breastfeed anywhere that you are as long as you're comfortable using a cover, or if you have a nice scarf to go over you. Honestly, my babies were never a big fan of the covers. They always were trying to get it off of them, and so that made breastfeeding in public kind of difficult. But if you can get them to be comfortable, having a blanket or something just draped over so that it's a comfortable situation for you and the babies, or baby, then that's a really good way to breastfeed on an airplane. Or you can pump in advance and just give them a bottle on the airplane or while you're doing a road trip. This was probably our personal preference, was giving them bottles everywhere we went, because they actually preferred the bottle over breastfeeding. So it was a lot easier to be able to just give them a bottle and not have them put up a fight at all, versus sometimes when I tried to breastfeed them, it took a little bit of convincing. But that was just my personal experience. So everybody's different. But the bottom line is, I don't see it being an issue at all if you want to breastfeed or pump while you're traveling. Like I said, just the main thing is knowing that you're going to be able to do it at the certain times that you need to do it. Even when our baby started sleeping through the night, I was still pumping in the middle of the night, and that was kind of hard, especially when we were traveling, because I had to wake up to pump. So these are just things to keep in mind. And, like I said, just go with the flow and do what feels right for you and your baby. Question number 7 is, have you taken your babies on a cruise yet, and will you plan to do this in the future? So for us, we actually love cruises, and we really want to go on a cruise with our babies. And recently we even looked into this. We actually called Norwegian, and we were looking at a cruise with them in Alaska, because we desperately want to go to Alaska with the babies. But with that said, when I called the cruise line to actually ask what is going on and what does it look like for babies and what should I expect, they told me a couple of things that kind of changed our minds for a little while. And the first thing is that it's actually required that everybody on board for at least 2021 must be vaccinated. They're just straight up not allowing anybody who's not vaccinated on the boat in the year of 2021, and that is even including people who can have a negative test. It doesn't matter. That's just their rule, and that's just that cruise line. And obviously the babies are not vaccinated, and so therefore they wouldn't be allowed to be on the boat in 2021. Now I hope that this changes for 2022 because we're hopeful to maybe take them on a cruise then. So we'll see. We're just kind of going with the flow and seeing what happens with all of the crazy times. But the other reason that's actually stopping us for right now is we asked them what the situation might be in the rooms and can we get beds for the babies, but not necessarily a bed, more like a crib. And we're okay with bringing our own cribs if we need to bring travel cribs, but they also said that they could supply them. The main question is, would they fit in the rooms? Because honestly, if you've been on a cruise, you know that the rooms are very small, and unless we could get a suite or something, it's very unlikely that we could all 4 fit in one room having 2 cribs. And the suites are very expensive, so unless there's like a really special deal that somehow just pops up on our radar, I don't think it's really going to be feasible until they can sleep in a bed on their own. And they did tell us that they do actually have an option in some of the smaller staterooms to have 2 pop-up beds come down from the ceiling that literally are over the adult's bed. So it's a way that you can fit a family of 4 in a stateroom on a cruise, but specifically if the babies need to have like a crib type bed with, walls and things that keep them from falling out, it's not as safe. And obviously we're all about safety, so we're just gonna hold off until we can have them sleep in their own beds. Or like I said, if there's some super deal where we can actually book a suite and be able to fit 2 cribs in there. So yeah, long story short, we're not going to be cruising for a little while. We really want to, but we'll get there. I'll keep you updated on that. And like I said, those specific restrictions that I mentioned before are just with Norwegian, so feel free to check out other cruise lines. They might have different restrictions and requirements. Question number 8, have you guys considered traveling full-time? Well, we absolutely have. Honestly, it's one of our big dreams to travel full-time as a family. And it's funny that somebody asked this because we actually really are. We've traveled long-term a couple of times where, like I said, with our babies, we took them for a whole month in our van, and then we traveled for a whole month to Germany when they were 9 all the way till 10 months old. And then, just in general, we've done this a lot of times even before we had kids. My husband and I, we were gone for 6 weeks at a time traveling. And so we really, really, really want to travel full time with our family. And I think it's the best thing that we could do, honestly, for them. I think it's a great way for them to learn about the world and see the world in a new way and just also become very adaptable and go with the flow. I think it's a really good way for kids to learn about the world and to also learn about new cultures and just become comfortable with change and like seeing new things and trying new foods and trying all the new things and all that kind of stuff. So that's one of our dreams. And I'm hoping that we can make it happen. We'll see. Honestly, I've dreamt about getting a Sprinter and, making it like full on, like family of 4, have the girls each have their own bed, have us have our bed in the back, or even I've looked into like bus renovation because that's a whole thing. Oh my gosh, like dreams. But the problem with like a school bus type reno is that it's so big. It's basically like you have like a full on RV type van, and honestly, I just don't know if that's going to be too much for us, depending on like where we want to go. A smaller van might be better, or you've even looked at living on a boat. There are so many ways that you can travel full time. Boats are just a lot more expensive, and back to the van thing, we're a lot more comfortable with that because we have traveled so much in our VW van. It's just our VW van isn't quite big enough at this point now for all 4 of us. It was big enough when the girls were 4 months old, because that whole month that we were gone, they were sleeping in their bassinets and we were able to sleep on the bed. So all 4 of us fit in there, but 2 cribs don't fit in there. 2 bassinets did, but 2 cribs don't. You know what I mean? They're too tall for the bassinets now. So it's, unless all 4 of us can figure out how to sleep in a bed together, I don't think that we'll be doing that for a little while yet. But like I said, I'll also keep you updated on that. It's not that we don't all fit. It's just that they like to move. They like to move and kick, and if they kick, then they're probably gonna wake up, and we don't want them to wake up, and we don't want to mess with the fact that they sleep through the night. So yeah, I'll keep you updated. Question number 9, where could you go if you could go anywhere? And I want to ask this to you guys as well. Let me know in the comments below where you would go if you could go anywhere as well. But our answer for this, oh gosh, I mean, I don't know, like we've been all over the place, and some of our favorite places were Norway and Iceland, and we also loved all the way going to Australia. We love Costa Rica. We love a lot of different things all over the world. But my personal dream list, top destination, has always been New Zealand. And I have to add on Bali because I really, really, really want to go there as well. Just, oh gosh, it's just so beautiful. And you can do so much there, especially, like I said, like New Zealand, you can go skiing or you could go to the beach. I mean, it's like you've got the best of all worlds. So I desperately want to go there. And we thought about doing our honeymoon there, honestly, back when we got married 5 years ago. But it was just one of those things that, you know, is like so far away and would take up a little bit more time than we currently had off from the jobs that we were working at the time. So we didn't want to necessarily take like a 3-week vacation, but we were able to swing 2 weeks. And so we ended up actually for our honeymoon going to Costa Rica as well as this Dutch island called Saba that was just simply beautiful. Another high destination on our list is actually Alaska. And I have personally spent a couple of vacations in Alaska and loved it, but my husband has not been there yet and we really want to go there together. So we're thinking eventually of doing a road trip all the way through Canada and up to Alaska. So again, we'll keep you updated on that. We would love to do that in the future, especially with our little ones. So thanks guys for listening in. I'm really glad that I was able to answer a lot of the questions that come through commonly on the comments in our videos. And like I said, if you haven't checked out some of those videos, I will leave the link to all of them below, to my travel playlist and like the big flying with babies videos, as well as some of the road trip videos, because those were really, really fun. And going to national parks with your babies is so fun as well. I definitely recommend it. So yeah, if you have any other questions that you want to hear answers to, definitely let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer every question, and I look forward to sharing more of our travels with you as we go. Thanks so much, guys. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Join the fam if you haven't already, and I look forward to seeing you soon in the next video. All right, have a great day. Happy travels. Bye.